All right, gang, here we are. We're in Chapter 2 now. Now, in Chapter 2, we're dealing with installing of Windows 10. So we've talked about what Windows 10 is and the different attributes associated with the newest version or the different versions and the functionalities that each possess and how they differentiate from one another. Now, let's move ahead and let's talk about what it takes to install this. When we're done, you should be able to choose the appropriate method for installation for Windows 10. Choose a type of installation, and they're not all the same, and perform an attended installation of Windows 10. You should be able to describe tools in the Windows 10 assessment and deployment kit. Okay. You should be able to perform an unattended installation of Windows 10, understand and perform image-based installation, and use provisioning to customize Windows 10 installations. You should be able to implement Windows to go. So let's move on. There are three of the most common installation methods for Windows 10. The first is a DVD boot installation. Windows 10 still fits on a DVD. The latest version of Server does not, however. So while we can still use a DVD, it is efficient. We can use a distribution share installation, and we can also use an image-based installation. Let's go talk about each one of those. The DVD boot installation is the least suitable method for a large volume of computers. It's suitable for small organizations if you only occasionally install Windows 10. The degree of customization is low, it is labor intensive, and it includes only the drivers and components included on the Windows 10 installation DVD. Now, you can add drivers using a USB driver or other removable storage media. That's why I said it is a little bit labor intensive. Distribution share installation. Now, that requires computers to be booted into Windows PE from removable storage, then return installation from a distribution share. Now, the speed of a distribution share installation varies. Files have to be transferred across the network. So depending on the speed of your network and how much throughput you have, that'll dictate how fast this works. The level of customization for a distribution share installation is higher than a DVD boot installation because you can include additional files such as updates or drivers as part of the installation process. So an image-based installation. Now, this requires the creation of a customized image that you apply to each computer. Customized image is created and is placed on a distribution share by using Windows SIM. This requires computers to be booted into Windows PE, much like the previous installation method we discussed, and then you're copying the customized image onto the computer. Now, this is the fastest type of installation. It has the highest level of customization achieved by using image-based installations. So we can have a Windows 10 operating system with other applications already loaded on it, all pre-configured, and we'll just push that out to those client machines. Now let's proceed. Okay, the types of installations. We can do a clean install, or we can do an in-place upgrade installation. Microsoft now recommends in-place upgrades. Upgrades to Windows 10 perform a clean installation in the background, and then they migrate the settings. Provisioning is a new option where you can modify an existing installation to match organization's requirements, rather than just reinstalling the OS. Now, upgrade installations, they're also referred to as in-place upgrade. So let's say you've got a Windows 8.2 system. You're going to do an upgrade. And the way this is going to work, it's going to actually install Windows 10, and then it will migrate what you have into Windows 10, and then let Windows 8 go. So it migrates the user settings, the files, applications, everything that exists in the previous operating system to the new operating system on the same computer, like I was just saying. Now, only Win 7 with Service Pack 1 or Windows 8.1 can be upgraded to Windows 10. The main benefit is the time saved by automatic migration of the user's settings, files, and applications. You don't lose all that personalization that you already got. You cannot use image-based installation when you perform an upgrade to Windows 10. Most Windows 10 installations are clean installs. A new computer always has a clean installation. New administrators and corporate environments often prefer clean installs, and they don't have to worry about any legacy issues that may exist. The hard drive is usually wiped out and reformatted, and we start fresh. Clean installations can be performed by any installation method. So Win 10 stores user settings and user profiles. It's stored in a folder, and it's C:\users\directory. During an upgrade to Windows 10, profiles are automatically upgraded and settings within the profile are retained. That way they can be migrated into Win 10. Tool to migrate user settings and files, and it's the user state migration tool. It's a command line utility. You've got to use scripts to migrate the settings and files. That is part of the Windows 10 Assessment and Deployment Kit. It's the ADK. Now there's an attended installation. That's primarily what I was talking about when I said with that DVD install. That's attended. You, for the most part, need to be there to respond to prompts along the way. You manually start and perform the installation. You start the installation by running setup.exe. Windows 10 minimizes user involvement during the installation. You enter information only at the very beginning and very end of the install. It's a process put in place, product activation, put in place by Microsoft to reduce piracy if an installation is not activated. Some personalization features are disabled. You can activate Windows 10 from the Activation tab in the Update and Security section. When activated, the product key is used during installation. It's associated with a specific computer that's performing the application or the activation. Sorry about that. So here's what we see when we see product activation. This is the interface I was talking about. We come in and there's a key which is change the product key. If you perform significant hardware changes to your computer, you may be forced to reactivate Windows. Now, volume license agreements allow for 3 types of activation. Multiple activation key, MAK, key management services, KMS, and Active Directory-based activation. Now, the Win 10 assessment deployment, that includes that ADK that we were just talking about. So it helps administrators deploy Win 10. Now, Microsoft provides Win 10 assessment and deployment kit, and that contains a number of tools to prepare for deployments and automate the deployment process so that we can do things without having to stand there and monitor it, and it's not so labor intensive. There's an application compatibility toolkit, and it helps organizations quickly identify which applications are compatible with Windows 10. So here's our interface, and we can select the different features that we want to install. Now the deployment the deployment image servicing and management, DISM. It's used to perform offline servicing of Windows imaging format images. So we'll create images to do our installs. DISM helps us to manage those images. Now, WIM is file-based image format that stores multiple images in a single file. Windows System Image Manager, SIM, System Image Manager, it's a graphical tool for configuring unattended installs, and creating distribution shares. So when it comes to that assessment and development, Windows PE, remember I said you've got to boot up into Windows PE. Windows PE, it's a limited and non-GUI version of Windows 10. It can be used for installing, troubleshooting, and repairing Windows 10. And it controls the installation process. When you boot from the Windows 10 installation DVD, that's when it's doing that control of the installation process. Now, Windows Imaging and Configuration Designer, it's ICD, it's a new tool that helps create provisioning packages and create image media. Right. We've got a user state migration tool, and that moves desktop settings and applications. And the features include, it can capture user configuration state, apply user configuration state, migrate encrypting file system certificates with the copy raw option. And we can create a configuration file by using the genconfig option. Use hard links to simplify data migration on the same computer. Now, also in that assessment and development, we've got Volume Activation Management Tool, VAMT. That's used to provide activation services for Windows OSs and Microsoft Office. We've got Performance and Assessment Tools. Now, the Windows 10 ADK, it includes the Windows Performance Toolkit and the Windows Assessment Toolkit. Now, when it comes to an unattended installation, unattended installations do not require administrator intervention. So that's set it and forget it. Everything, once you start it or schedule it, it should go without any issues. And when it's complete, you'll go and you'll see that all the work's been done. And any questions that needed to be answered or anything that needed to be done, you're prepared for that ahead of time. The entire process can be automated using an answer file. Now, that answer file, it's an XML file that contains settings that are used during the Windows installation process. Unattended installations are faster than attended installations. They're more consistent because the same answer file is used, and it gives you a wider range of configuration options. When you're performing a basic unattended installation, you can specify the name of the answer file or allow setup to find the answer file automatically, and it's using an unattend switch. Now, the name of the answer file searched for varies depending on the configuration paths being performed. Setup looks in multiple locations for an answer file. Okay. And here's different locations that it'll go look. Now, the answer files cached in the WinDIR /Panther directory, they're reused during later actions that look for an answer file. Now, Windows 10 still has multiple phases of setup. Single answer file used for all configuration passes. The Windows PE configuration pass. It's used at the start of the installation to partition the format, partition and format the hard disk. Specify a specific Windows image to install. Specify credentials for accessing the Windows image. Specify the local partition to install Windows 10 on. Specify a product key, computer name, and administrator account name. Run specific commands during Windows setup. The offline servicing configuration pass. Now, it's used to apply packages to a Windows 10 image after it's copied to the hard drive, but before it's running. Now, the benefits of it: it's faster installation, and it's got enhanced security. Now, the specialized configuration pass, it applies a wide variety of settings related to the Windows interface, network configuration, and other Windows components. Now, here we go. We've got the OOBE System Configuration Pass. I would say OOBE. What does that mean? Out-of-box experience. The portion of the installation where users are asked for information after the second reboot. Now, this is things like who's logging into it, things like that. Sysprep configuration passes. Sysprep utility is used to manage Win 10 installations that are imaged. Rips that personalization off the image. Sysprep configuration, it passes that can be triggered by Sysprep. The generalization or the generalized configuration pass, the audit system configuration pass, and the audit user configuration pass. We've also got the OOBE system configuration pass. Now for a basic installation, here we go. We'll start out PE, offline servicing, that's optional. Specialized audit system, audit user, OOBE system. Sysprep, jump to generalize optionally, specialize, and then OOBE. Audit system and audit user are both optional. So when we use Sysprep, a lot gets stripped away. Now the image manager, it allows you to create and modify answer files that are used for that unattended installation. Now common tasks you can perform with Windows SIM include create or update an answer file, add service or add device drivers or applications to answer a file, and you can create a configuration set. That SIM, you can create or update an answer file, and Windows SIM allows you to create an answer file to control the installation of Windows. You can add device drivers or applications, and you must create a distribution share, and that holds a copy of the device drivers that you're installing. And at this point, we know how important device drivers are. Now, the distribution shares, those folders for updating drivers, you've got OEM and out-of-box drivers. So here we go. We've got the configuration pass, the settings, and the description. Now SIM, we create a configuration set. The configuration set is a subset of files in a distribution share that are required for a particular answer file. It's best to use a configuration set when workstations cannot access the distribution share. You can apply offline updates to a Windows image. Now offline updates are software packages containing drivers, service packs, or security updates. They're applied to an image during the offline servicing configuration pass of the installation. Now, image-based installation. Corporate environments have been using image-based imaging for years. I've personally been using it for over 2 decades. It's a method to quickly deploy workstation operating systems and applications. Sysprep has long been included as a deployment utility to support third-party imaging software. The overall imaging process. Install and configure Windows 10 and applications on a source workstation. So you get that workstation configured the way you want it, with updates. That's not something that we got listed here, but with all the updates, so that once it's installed, it's all updated. So you get this workstation configured the way you want it. Use Sysprep to generalize the source workstation for imaging, so it strips away all that personalization. You boot the source workstation using Windows PE. Use DISM to capture the image from the source workstation and store it in the distribution share. Now, on the destination workstation, use Windows PE to connect to the distribution share, use DISM to apply the image in the distribution share to the destination workstation. Now the generalization, that's when we're preparing workstation to capture an image. Remove system-specific data from Windows. You can specify an answer file to use during generalization. Otherwise, Sysprep will search for unattended.xml and use that as an answer file. The system cleanup actions, you have to select a system cleanup action. System cleanup action determines the behavior of Windows 10 after configuration. Now here's our Sysprep interface. It's a tool 3.14. Okay. And the system cleanup actions, we've got the options to enter system out-of-box experience or enter system audit mode right here. There it is. Pick which one we want. Sysprep limitations, the drivers have to be available to support plug-and-play hardware of the destination computer. Sysprep generalization resets the activation clock a maximum of 3 times. If a computer is a member of a domain, running Sysprep removes the computer from the domain. Sysprep will not run on upgraded computers. After running Sysprep, encrypted files and folders are unreadable. Sysprep command line options. Sysprep has both a command line interface and a GUI. So here's our options when it comes to the command line Sysprep. Okay, so we've got these keywords: shutdown, reboot, OOBE. So there's our commands and what happens when we use each one of them. Now DISM, features and benefits of DISM. It's a single image file. It can hold multiple images. It's file-based imaging, lets you capture images from one partition type and restore them on another. Images can be taken from an entire partition or just a particular folder. Images can be applied to an existing hard drive without destroying the existing data. Images can be compressed with either fast compression or maximum compression. Images can be mounted to a folder in a NTFS, or New Technology File System, partition for modification. When DISM is combined with Windows deployment services, you can completely automate the deployment process to include partitioning and formatting hard drives. The DISM, the image capture, it must shut down the computer before imaging. And here's the syntax. And we're going on a command prompt. Image application will boot using Windows PE, connect to the distribution share that's holding the image file, use DISM to apply the image to the local workstation, and here's the syntax to go ahead and run that. Here's the keywords if we're going to run that DISM from command prompt. We've got some more. And you can include a pre-configured installation of Windows 10 and applications in your image. It requires you to apply software updates to those images. Some common scenarios for using DISM: add device drivers, apply Windows updates, enable Windows features, identify the need for application updates. A Windows PE boot media creation. An operating system on a hard drive cannot be running while an image is being taken or applied. We can't have the OS running while we're either applying an image or taking that snapshot. Now, steps to create a Windows PE boot media will run copype.command to create the folder structure with the necessary files. We'll mount the ISO, copy the desired files into boot.wim, commit the changes to boot.wim, and then we'll use makewinpemedia.command to create a bootable USB drive or an ISO file. Then we got provisioning. In the provisioning, Windows ICD is a new toolkit, or new tool in the toolkit, and that ADK, and it's used to support new deployment workflows for provisioning and OS deployment. Provisioning configures an already installed copy of Windows 10. Now it speeds up the deployment process for new computers and mobile devices. Windows ICD, it creates provisioning packages that are deployed to computers with Win 10 already installed. So what does this mean? Let's say that an organization purchased 100 Windows 10 machines. The machines already have Windows 10 installed. So we don't have to go install Windows 10, but what we do need to do is provision those and configure those, and we can do it in a batch. So provisioning packages support new computers from a manufacturer or bring your own devices. Provisioning packages are stored in PPKG files that you need to apply on the computers or devices. When you create a package, you're given the option to encrypt the package. Ensure any sensitive information in the package cannot be accessed without the encryption key. So usually, if we're going to provision things, there's policies, passwords, there's things that need to be in there to align these new systems with the organization's current setup. Win 10, we'll talk about Windows to Go. Win 10 Enterprise includes an option to create a portable version of Win 10. It's called Windows to Go, a fully functional installation of Windows 10 on a USB drive. To use Windows to Go, the computer must be configured to boot from a USB drive. The main benefit: an organization can provide a standardized version of Windows that users can use at home. Now, considerations for creating a Windows to Go workplace: you need install.wim from the Windows 10 installation media. The USB must be at least 25 gig. All data is removed from the USB drive during installation. So if you had anything on there, it's gone after we do the creation of Windows to Go. Implement a BitLocker password to create or encrypt data on the USB drive. If BitLocker is implemented on the host computer, you need to suspend BitLocker before changing boot order in the host computer. The three primary ways to install Windows 10 are DVD boot installation, distribution share installation, and image-based installation. Clean installations require user settings and data to be migrated from old computer to the new one. An attended installation requires you to answer questions during the installation, primarily before and at the end, or at the beginning and end. The Windows 10 ADK provides tools such as ACT, Windows PE, Windows SIM, Windows ICD, and they help you migrate to Windows 10 and automate deployment. Unattended installation uses an answer file to pass configuration to setup, with a network administrator answering those questions. During a basic installation, the Windows PE offline servicing, specialize, and OOBE system configuration passes are performed. Windows SIM is used to create answer files. Add device drivers or packages to an answer file, create a configuration set, or apply updates to a Windows 10 image. Sysprep is used to prepare computers for imaging. DISM is used to capture, modify, and apply WIM images. DISM is also used to maintain Windows 10 images. You can create a bootable CD, DVD, or USB drive to perform imaging operations. Windows ICD is used to create provisioning packages that are applied to Windows 10 computers that are already deployed. Now that's it for this second chapter. I'll see you in the next one, and I appreciate your time.